Okay, so now we're going to talk about how to actually use a simple framework to write ads that, in general, make money every single time. Not all of your ads is going to be a winner. I mean, a marketer would be lying if he told you that every single campaign he publishes wins. But this, out of all the solutions that I know about and have learned from the top marketers in the world, this is one of the most easy, straightforward solutions that will really give you a pretty good idea and big picture overview of what you're shooting for to try to create a winning campaign. So this is called the PAS formula, or Problem-Agitate-Solution. It was originally pioneered by Dan Kennedy. He's a very famous copywriter who ended up selling billions and billions of products using direct mail. But this is his framework. I didn't invent it. It still works super well today. So basically what we're doing here is we are asking a question or making a statement or a series of statements that trigger a problem in the reader's mind. So if we look at the ad that we have down here, this is actually a campaign that I ran in one of the niches that we specialize in, the paver industry. And I stopped counting at this point, but last time I checked, this campaign was doing, over $5 million each year. So it's done pretty well. I didn't get this one in one try. We had 3, 4, 5 campaigns maybe, where we spent 10 to 15K before we found this one, and we're able to scale this one to pretty big numbers. But we started this out with a question to trigger the problem in the reader's mind. So you made the investment in installing pavers but have not had them sealed. So questions are a really good way of starting this. In other terms, this first line here would be called a hook. Is I'm actually going to put this in the, let's undo that. I'm going to put this into Facebook. Why is it doing that? I'm going to put this into Facebook so we can actually see what it looks like. But the first 2 lines are some of the most important, or it literally is the most important part of the ad, besides the photo. So come in here, we're going to put the text into the primary text box right here. And we're going to see right here how it looks above the fold. So as you can see, we really only have about 2.5 lines before it says see more. And that's how it's always going to look on all of your ads. And so this is the most important part of the ad to really trigger in the potential buyer's mind that they have a problem, or they might have a problem. Or you could make a statement that outlined the problem or brought attention to the problem. So another example of this could be something like, attention Orlando homeowners. This new way of sealing pavers is or lasts longer than any other method out there. It could be like a shocking statement. If you're in an industry like roofing or another saturated industry, HVAC, you could use a statement that really kind of triggers like that's BS kind of response. So if we're going to use a statement, you want to use a statement that's going to trigger BS in their mind, where they're not going to, they're gonna want to read more to see you prove it. But you could do that by saying something like 67% of homeowners have dryer vents that are going to catch on fire this year, and then they see that and it freaks them out. So questions are honestly a little bit easier to use than statements. And when we use questions, we're actually letting the prospect convince themselves instead of us, forcing our way onto them. So I like to use a lot of questions, especially in the beginning of my ads, and also just because it's easier to hook them in with your ad that way. But this same framework works for every single industry. And let's dive right back into it. I mean, like I said, this campaign right here looks simple, but this campaign, I mean, at one point was doing over 450K a month across Florida. I think at some points even a little bit more. But we had some pretty crazy months with this simple ad right here. And let's get into the meat of the copy. So our next section is going to be agitate, and that's like 80% of this ad right here, all the way until we get down here. I'm really just focusing on agitating the issues while giving them benefits. So when we start out right here, we have the sun is destroying your paver's appearance in a color that you loved when you picked them out. So right here, we have emphasized pain. The sun is destroying. So this is going to be something that someone wants to move away from. It's not necessarily a benefit, but it's pain that someone wants to move away from that your solution is going to solve later. So this right here is what marketers would call a moving away from statement, that the sun is destroying your paver's appearance. And so automatically triggers like, oh no, I need to move away from that. It's not really like a benefit, like this is going to make you money or this is going to make your pavers look beautiful. This is like, oh no, I need to pay attention to this. My pavers are being destroyed. So right away, we're triggering a point where we want them to feel like they need to move away from something. And then we go to line 2, having your pavers sealed professionally not only protects them from fading, but will restore their natural colors and leave them looking brand new. So here is actually almost exact opposite of the first line. And this is because what we did here is we focused on the benefits. So what are they moving towards? Moving towards benefits. So you can only be moving away from pain or be moving towards benefits. If you are moving away from benefits, then it would be painful, right? So that's kind of how it's pretty simple once you get it down, but we're usually going to start it out with moving away from pain and then getting into benefits. But that's honestly not really set in stone. Marketers do this in all kinds of different ways, but you want to have both of these components in there. So the pain points and then the benefits. Line 3, having your pavers sealed professionally not only protects them from fading, but will restore their natural colors and leave them looking brand new. Oh, we just read that one. Not to mention, when water is able to get inside and under your pavers, it will lead to erosion, cracking, and weeds coming through. So what we have here is another kind of fear-based statement, moving away from pain. They might not have even known that this was an issue, but when you have a really good idea of the issues that your product solves, then you can even inject pain points that they didn't even necessarily know about, but you as the expert know about. And when you inject that into your ad, they're like, oh, wow, I didn't know about that. I need to do something about it. The next line, sealing will extend the lifespan indefinitely of the elements. This is another benefit statement, pretty self-explanatory, but we can see right here, emphasize protect. And that pretty much wraps up the agitate section. So here, this whole section, all we really did is expound upon this problem. Why do people need to have their pavers sealed? Because the sun is destroying it and water is getting under and the colors are fading, and don't you want the beauty and the protection of getting them sealed? So, that's really, it's pretty simple when it comes down to it. But if there's only one thing that you had to focus on, what I would say is that you have to make sure that this whole section and really the whole ad, besides maybe the solution section down here, you want it to revolve around your potential buyer. You don't want to talk about your product or your solution up here. You want to just talk about your prospect and the emotional triggers that they have, or what do they want to do, what is hurting them, what do they not know about. So it needs to be all about them in the top like 90%. Our solution section is pretty easy. You almost can't screw this one up, and especially if you use like a free quote offer or a free consultation call. This is going to work. Works online if you have an online business or in person. I basically still use this even in my online business. This offer right here, a free strategy call, and it works amazing. But our solution section here at Liquid Assets Pressure Washing, we use a special sealing process that we call permanent sealing, which utilizes our proprietary hypergloss sealants to ensure that you have lasting protection for years to come. So yeah, right here, this is actually not the original ad. I was demoing this with someone the other day. So this could be refined even more right here. But really all we're doing is outlining our solution, and these things in parentheses, that would be called a unique mechanism, which would basically help you set your product apart from the competition. If you're in a market where your product has basically become a commodity, roofing is a good example, solar, where there's tons of companies doing something. If you can just take something normal and give it a slightly cool name in your advertising. So with this person, we were talking about potentially using hypergloss sealants. So, that wasn't our final decision yet, but basically this would be something small that would set their product a little bit apart from their competitors. Kind of like with P90X, for example, their marketing, they would say something like, you stopped gaining muscle in the gym because you don't know about muscle confusion. So their unique mechanism in that example is muscle confusion. So if we can find anything in your offer that we can just give a cool name or like a special way you want to call it for how you do your process, that's going to be good to add in, to kind of just put seed in someone's mind, like what is that? It really ends in a big result, from my experience and what we've seen. And then the very ending right here is the offer, and this is super simple. Just click send message below to receive your free virtual quote. And yeah, that wraps up the offer. On the ad, we're also going to have some directions down here to make it simpler to convert on the offer. So we scroll down to the headline. The headline on Facebook is actually a little bit weird because it shows up down here. But I normally always do something like, if we're doing a local service business, get free quote, and then I'll put a finger pointing right, for example, or something else pointing to the button. And what that does is just makes it really simple from point A to Z. They see the photo, they open your ad, they read the ad, they look down after we call them to action right here. And then they have a call to action here with a finger pointing at the button. They click on the button and they get a message from your company that starts collecting their lead information. So really pretty cool how this works. I mean, just this ad alone right here made us millions and millions of dollars, because we ended up getting this to work out for one of our companies, and then we got 14, 15 other companies in Florida all using the same exact text in this photo right here, and the ad went on to make millions and millions and millions of dollars. So pretty crazy to think about, but yeah, once you can get an ad refined, you can really make a lot of money.